just follow shortly after.
Amen.
The levels I'm watching are, first of all, that 17,600.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, that can mean only one thing, and that's that you are in the market pulse, baby. Let's do it. The merge has shipped.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That is the date that the Federal Reserve will be making their Fed rate decision.
Well, gee, Tim, I would love to do that. I think we're still going to see projects like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or things like that still exist. The answer is 1,000 Dogecoin.
Oh.
Good morning, everybody. I was not ready to go live. That one got on me. Welcome.
I told you it started. I told you the countdown.
Good. Yeah, man, that snuck up on me. I was looking up something from our last HODL trophy winner. Hey, this intro got butchered. Let me start over. What's going on, everybody?
Yo, hold on. Let me go fade to black and then you start over.
Now I have a third one.
All right, you ready? Go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is the first show of October here in 2022, and it's going to be interesting. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Swiss banks are crashing. We finally have a case that we can maybe get on the same side as the SEC as they are suing Kim Kardashian. We'll talk a little more about that. We also have some interesting stuff continuing to develop in the Celsius move, and potentially could Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX be a purchaser there? We're going to be talking about all of that and more in a great show today. Different lineup today. First of all, we let you guys know last week, this will be the first 90-minute show. That's the plan. We'll see how that one goes. The first half hour, we will be doing market pulses. We will be doing some technical analysis. The second half hour, we will be jumping into our discussion. And today, you don't want to leave because we're going to be talking about that Swiss bank crashing, what that means just for the economy as a whole, and how will crypto and specifically Bitcoin respond to such a move. And then we will finish up our last half hour doing nothing but interacting with the community. That means looking at charts maybe you guys want to look at, answering some of your guys' questions, and we're also going to be doing our HODL Trophy predictions. And shout out to Jennifer Barton, who was last week's winner, our last week community winner. We're going to be entering to see who can win that again this week. What's also really cool about this show, you guys know that every first show of the month, we do a charity stream. What that means is that every single dollar that you guys super chat today will not a single dime will go to us. They will actually be going to our ministry partner. That is Life for the Innocent. And that is a ministry out in India that actually looks to save children from sex and organ trafficking and take them through the entire process of rehab and get them into a safe home. Because here, you guys know on Coffee and Crypto, we are all about financial sovereignty, but you can't even begin to worry about your financial sovereignty unless you have sovereignty over your own body. Continue, not only just through us, but continue to look into that ministry if you are a big believer in helping free people, specifically children who are in such a horrible situation. Please considering donating, not even just super chats today to us, but going to their link and donating directly to them. We have a long show today. It's going to be good. I got two fantastic people sitting next to me at T-Shroom over here to the right in his Florida Gators gray shirt.
Go Gators, baby.
How about how they finally showed some signs on offense there yesterday?
Yeah,
I
was thrilled.
They might not be as bad as some of us think. I just got T-Shroom. I got Smay over here to my left running tech. How you doing this morning, Smay?
Hallo, meine Bruders. Sehr gut.
Sehr gut. That is very good. In case you guys did not know, Smay and I are learning German. Now, he's much further along than I am, but give us like a year. In a year, we're going to be having fluent conversations in German, I predict. Now, it's going to be probably one of the ugliest dialects of German you ever heard. That is something we are working on every single day, is correct pronunciations of how you actually speak in German, but we're learning it slowly but surely.
One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm trying to look for a native German speaker that I can chat with to practice my Deutsch. So
yeah, that's true.
That's because I've heard that helps a lot when you get to like riff back and forth with somebody like can correct you and stuff like that.
Good.
But you know,
good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to be silly. I'm so sorry. I got a little too serious there, and I realized that Smay is supposed to be silly. So let me amp it up a little bit. Oh, hi, everybody.
There we go. All right. Well, we are about to jump into our market pulse, and today's market pulse is brought to you guys by Anthony Price. You guys have heard of him. You guys know that we love him here. He is our CPA. If you're concerned about your crypto taxes moving forward, you guys know even with normal taxes, having a CPA is very helpful. Can save you hundreds, if not thousands, and depending on who you are, millions of dollars. scammers. Well, crypto is no different, especially with the IRS coming and cracking down on us this year. If you are looking to make sure that you A, stay legal, and B, save as much money as possible, Anthony Price could be just the guy for you. Give him a free 15-minute phone call so that he can even assess if he can save you money in the first place. There's a link in the description down below. Different day to day on the Market Pulse. I'm going to be throwing it over to T-Shroom for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to be jumping in doing some technical analysis all the way until about 10:30, and then we'll kind of flip into our discussion section. But with that said, T-Shroom, go ahead and take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were listening to the sound of my voice
Are we
and
seriously
sound
going to skip
effects,
green names? I was trying to give my cues.
then you are...
Tim, I was trying to give my sound cues.
That's probably really loud. But
that was kind of loud.
why don't we do green names?
Why don't we do green names?
Gosh, Tim, you know it's the day when you forget about green names.
Oof.
So I was trying to give you my "come on now" sound effect, and you just kept going. So
All right, Smeg, go ahead and dive on into those green names.
I'm gonna dive right on into them. So we have Mitch Shaw, we have Justin Eubanks, we got who else we got here? We got Agent Gold, we got our blue names. We got Matt C, we got Anthony. I love Anthony. Win Peoples, JoJo, Mike Lowry. Who else we got here? Brad Torgeidel. Who else we got here? Tyler Main. Wow, I'm getting emotional. We got Gregory Gressick, and Freedom Advocate, and a mellow fellow. No, I'm not good. Go CJC.
That coffee go down the wrong pipe?
And Steve, I don't even have coffee. Steve B, and so many more. I love you guys. My throat's just really dry. It's 420 Wood. Brandon from Gorbury. I love all you guys. I'm getting emotional. So, all right. So now, Tim, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do over. Now you get to throw it over to him for Market Pulse.
This is a rough morning for me. I skipped the most important part of the entire stream.
It's okay.
And then it caused a diluting effect where I poisoned Smay, and he's like fighting for his life.
It's I'm like a little forest elf that if you take away my ritual of reading green names, I die.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right.
It's okay.
With that said, we are now transitioning into our Market Pulse brought to you by Anthony Price. T-Shroom, take it away.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, then that can mean only one thing, and that's that you are in the Market Pulse, baby. Let's do it. Starting off on the Fear and Greed Index. We are clocking in higher, so things moving in the right direction, in the bullish direction, you could say. Keep in mind that the Fear and Greed is a lagging indicator, but we have been moving in the right direction since last week and since last month, moving from 21 to 24. Still in that extreme fear zone, but that's all right because we are moving in the right direction. Still neck and neck for the CME Future Rate Tool Predictor Tool. That is going to be hitting on November 2nd, so still a ways out. So who knows how accurate these numbers really are, but still neck and neck. So undecided, pretty much what you'd expect. 75 basis points here, winning by about 10% though. Going to move into the stories here. Kim K settles. There we go. Thank you, Reuters.com. Okay, I'll start over. Kim K settles SEC crypto charge to pay $1.26 million. And there she is, very ordinary looking human being there, Kim K. We've all seen her. We all love her. Some of you don't. That's okay.
All right, guys, this is a bad joke. I was going to try and chime in and say a joke. I was muted. I stuttered. Let's just, whatever. I give up.
It was the
Kim
poison.
K, you probably got a little bit embarrassed.
I was going to say she was normal looking if she came from Roswell.
I don't get it.
I don't
What's
get
Roswell?
it. I
Play
don't
the
even
crickets,
know.
please.
All right.
Yeah, we need our own soundboard here. All right.
I'm so sorry. Back to you, T.
We're just going to skip this. It's not an important headline. But Kim K did bad thing involving crypto. Ethereum killer Solana suffers another major outage, a very significant headline, especially if you're invested in Solana. And it's basically they're blaming it on a misconfigured node caused the Solana network to stop processing transactions and go offline on Friday, the fourth major outage for the popular blockchain since January, when it had a string of partial outages for most of that month, so most of January of this year, according to data from Solana, so according to their own databases there. Not a great look for Solana. I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised because this has happened before, and they said that they've fixed it, but ultimately it's probably just due to the underlying beliefs at Solana of why this issue is persisting. Underlying beliefs of centralization and over
It's the exact inverse problem of Cardano. Cardano moves slow. I mean, that's what people attack Cardano for. It moves slow, takes its time, makes sure it's secure. Solana moves fast. They move a little too fast. They have these issues. They have these outages. It really comes down to, I know a lot of people in chat are probably going to say, oh, screw Solana. And other people are going to say, why do you guys bash Solana? I actually don't have an opinion on this in terms of saying terribly. I don't own Solana. I don't think Solana is the solution long term. But for those who like it, they like it for a reason. And it's fast. But guess what comes with when you're moving so fast? You come with outages. So people, I think, know that that's what they've signed up for at this point. So it is what it is.
It is what it is indeed. Moving along, Coinbase suffers major outage as well for customers with U.S. bank accounts. Not going to really get into the details of this, but they also tweeted out yesterday that they fully resolved the issue and ACH transfers are now processing, and they apologize for the inconvenience. So, this one's more of like I don't anticipate. You don't anticipate outages from Coinbase, so it's not great when you see those. But more than likely, this was a bug that has been fixed and won't happen again. Folks were not able to access features such as transferring money in and out of their account, so to their bank. So, moving along, Celsius founder Alex Mashinsky withdrew $10 million weeks before the bankruptcy. Weeks before that Celsius bankruptcy there. But he has a little bit of a defense for these actions. So Mashinsky's claims withdrawal was for tax payment. A spokesperson for Mashinsky who spoke to FT said that the withdrawals were made to offset state and federal taxes. He continued that consistently deposited cryptocurrency in the amounts that totaled what he withdrew in May. So that's his defense, and the spokesperson further reveals that Mashinsky and his family still had $44 million worth of crypto frozen on the platform. So you're going to be seeing a lot of this headline today if you're in the crypto space, scrolling around, that he's, a big bad guy with this. I think he's a big bad guy for other reasons, because he was over leveraged, right? And so Celsius went down, but so did all of the other decentralized lenders. So there's his defense. There's more to come on this story for sure, but he's already in hot water. Whether or not he was doing dubious things with that 10 million or he was legitimately pulling it out for tax purposes, we'll probably never know, but he does present an argument down there that's somewhat convincing. Moving along, and let me know in the comments if you're convinced by that argument. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend him, but it makes sense. $10 million also for someone like him, a little bit less money than you'd think. So moving along, Sam Bankman-Fried sheds light on how FTX would approach a Celsius bid. And I'm going to cut to the chase here for anybody who still might be in Celsius or has money frozen in Celsius, might be a better way to phrase that. This quote right here, the goal from Sam Bankman-Fried and kind of their approach to what they would do once they buy Celsius and what they're valuing it at. The goal isn't to make money buying assets at cents on the dollar. It's to pay $1 on the dollar and get that $1 back to the customers. If we were to get involved in Celsius, it would be the same. So they want to buy Celsius at market value, at book value of what Celsius claims that they're at, and then return that money to the Celsius holders as soon as possible. We'll see if that happens. There's definitely some steps to take before that occurs. They first got to win the bid, and then they've got to actually take that action, return money to the investors, meaning those who had money staked on Celsius. So we shall see. Sam Bankman-Fried trying to get in stay in the positive light here as the CEO of FTX, global CEO, and he's doing a pretty good job with this headline. I think as this gets circulated, folks are going to definitely think better of him. But we shall see what the future holds for old SBF. Moving along, pro-Russian paramilitary groups raised $400,000 in Bitcoin crypto to avoid sanctions. I'll just quickly read this one because the headline kind of says it all, but pro-Russian groups are conducting crowdfunding campaigns raising a significant amount of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to evade U.S. sanctions and support paramilitary operations in war-torn Ukraine. This is according to research on blockchain by blockchain intelligence firm TRM Labs. I looked into them. Pretty interesting data on their website. Might want to check them out. But they said as of last week, we identified about 400,000 that have been raised since the beginning of the invasion in February, according to Chris Janowinski, head of global investigations at TRM Labs. And they told that to CNBC. So, not a great look for crypto, but this is just kind of shows the flexibility of Bitcoin, and how, the ability for Bitcoin to move around to wallets. That's what you want. You don't want it to end up in paramilitary group wallets necessarily, but this isn't a good look, but it does flex kind of the technological freedom that does exist, and kind of a little bit of a precursor to regulators, a little bit of foreshadowing to regulators potentially to what to look for and how to regulate in the future. Because as Bitcoin, more than likely is going to become the world currency one day, we do need to realize that that's going to open up a lot of freedom that didn't exist before. And perhaps we can talk about that more a little bit later. But, for now, this is not a great look for Bitcoin. Institutions are going to read this and be scared. Regulators might read this and issue regulation that isn't great as a result. So might try to pass regulation in reaction to this, but they may overregulate as a result. Moving along, we've got a nice little advertisement there, but this is going to be the big story of the day. We're going to come back to this after the TA, but Credit Suisse shares tanked 10% on restructuring capital concerns. Credit Suisse, of course, being, I believe, one of the biggest, if not the biggest banks in Switzerland. And also, it's a very large international bank. So a lot of money from all over the world is invested in Credit Suisse. Folks, that's going to wrap up your Market Pulse. And we're going to absolutely be talking about a lot of these stories here in just a second. So stay tuned. But thank you so much for watching and listening. I am T. Shroom here for the Market Pulse. Let's get into the question of the day. Tim, what you got?
Yeah, we're skipping some stuff here now. We got to do some technical analysis.
You want to do the...
Wait, don't you
I
do
started
the
a chain effect here. I started a chain effect. I missed the green names, and I deeply apologize.
You don't think we...
I then caused Smay to have an allergic reaction where his entire vocal cord shut down. Then that trickles and then makes T-Shroom forget that our new format, we do market polls and then we do our technical analysis and then we'll do question of the day before the discussion section.
Okay.
So
that seems different, but that's
I
fine.
take complete blame for
no,
this trifecta.
I have to say, I support T-Shroom. I didn't know this either.
Well, I take complete blame no matter what happens.
That's right. And that's responsibility, and we believe in taking personal responsibility on this show.
We do.
So
we do.
Thank you, Tim, for being our fearless leader who takes responsibility for his own actions. And I'll let you go ahead and do TA.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do TA. Let's go ahead and jump onto my chart here. We're going to start out on Bitcoin because, of course, this is the granddaddy of crypto, and other charts just seem to move along with what Bitcoin is doing with some deviation. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. Pretty much everything in crypto is sideways. I mean, when you look at CoinMarketCap, you're looking at the biggest gainers, biggest losers. Nothing is going more than 7.5% in the last 24 hours. It's been kind of a lull here. But we just officially, we didn't get to do the show before this. Officially, we did close another negative Q3 on Bitcoin, where our opening was at 19,960, but you come over to September 30th, we ended up closing at about 19,426. So it was another red quarter by technicality. If you were to go out to the 3-monthly chart, and you can kind of see that, it was a sliver. We've actually now had 2 quarters in a row where we've had slivers of red in our quarterly growth on Bitcoin. So let's keep an eye on that after we've had. Now this is, we're starting right now, we're starting right now a sliver of red. We had a massive Q2 dump. Now we have a small one in Q3. Let's see what Q4 ends up doing. I want to zoom in though on the 4-hourly chart on Bitcoin and look at a couple things happening here. The first thing I noticed when I was looking at my technical analysis this morning is it looks when you have a zone of resistance and a zone of support that currently Bitcoin actually is in a bullish formation looking at an ascending triangle. That is where you have a flat top, and we've had that flat top since back in September with a couple touches here between the levels of 20,195 and all the way up to 20,388. This is our flat zone of resistance. We also, though, it's been really weird because we've had wicks and we've had candle body closes, but as a whole, we are setting higher lows here. So this is the definition of an ascending triangle. The question I have is, can we continue to hold it, or will we break to the downside? This is something really important for any technical analyst to remember, is that while we look at these formations for probability purposes, by no means is anything in technical analysis 100%. It just helps us trade in the future. So when you take this into account with other technicals and you take it with sentiment and fundamental analysis, you're able to trade a little bit better. Let's look at some other things on the chart, though, other than just this bullish formation, because when I zoom out, we still are within that bearish descending triangle. So it's kind of like got a little bit of descending and ascending triangles inception going on here, where on the macro, we're looking bearish. When you zoom in, we're looking a little more bullish. What's going to happen at this point? It is anybody's guess. And I want to go ahead and spoil some things for people out there that think that when they follow any influencer that they're going to get the exact answer. Nobody knows perfectly what the future looks like. Everybody out there is giving you their honest, best opinion they can based off of analysis that they like and prefer. So before you guys see this and say, well, Tim said we have to rally back up because of this ascending triangle, I want to make sure there's a caveat here. Continue to watch the charts. This is what a good trader does. They make predictions based off of this stuff, and they say, all right, I'm going to enter a trade, or I'm going to buy right here because there's a sign we pumped to the upside, but they are prepared for a dip. So anyone out there who's already saying, oh, this Tim guy is crazy, which is, completely fair. Know that when we're doing technical analysis, that is what we are looking at. Let's look at a couple other things looking at our RSI. Here on the 4-hourly chart, there's not necessarily anything developing new here, where we are technically not in a bullish RSI divergence here, although it is close where the bottoms are getting almost like they're flattening out. Technically, there's a little bit of a difference, whereas the price action of these candle body closes is obviously a different angle. Certain analysts will look at this and go ahead and qualify this as bullish RSI divergence. I'm going to be a little hesitant here and hold off and say I'm not quite there yet. But again, anyone out there who's studied and has different opinions on technical analysis, you're welcome to do with that information what you will. Moving out to the daily chart, same chart. This is one of the other reasons why I do believe we have bullish action going on here, is this bullish RSI divergence on the daily chart, which, by the way, again, is the strongest daily bullish RSI divergence we've had since this massive dip, where the bottoms on the RSI are climbing, but the closes are decreasing. Watch that this potentially could give us some bullish pressure as well on these charts. Let's zoom in again and let's look at some volume going on, some fixed range volume profile, look at some key points just to keep up to date on some levels to keep an eye on when evaluating this whole space. I'm going to go back and just look at Q3 and then the beginning right now of Q1. So let's go ahead and go here. I'm on the daily chart. Let's go out to the 4-hourly chart so I can get a little more information here. There we go. All right, so some key levels. First of all, right beneath the quarterly close, right here right above the quarterly close, 19,792 continues to be the main point. That's the main point where a lot of trades have entered here in the last quarter and couple of days. However, that does not mean we have to go there. Currently, we are hovering at another position point that has a peak in volume right there on 19,300. We could potentially still be dropping and stay within that zone of support at 19,138. In fact, this morning we were hovering at those levels. This zone of support flat, in a range that's been moving sideways now ever since back in June, continues to hold up, with the top of that being around 18,000, 19,000. It's like 18,800 or so, and then all the way down to 17,600 that we set as our bottom to this date. That level continues to hold. So if we end up breaking this ascending triangle, if this does not hold and this formation gets canceled out, rest assured we still have a very fat zone of support sitting here between 19,000 and 17,600. If the bulls can rally, of course, we're looking at that peak. That is going to be some strong resistance right there at 19,700, 800. But if we can go through, we also then have this zone that is serving as our top zone of resistance right now at 20,250. And then you're starting to look potentially at touching this descending level of resistance now for a while at peaks that start around 20,900. That is what I'm seeing on the Bitcoin technical analysis. Another reason to potentially think that a breakout is imminent is actually going down to the hourly chart and pulling up our Bollinger Bands, where we have been constricting now for a while. And it's been a little minute since I've done Bollinger Band technical analysis on this channel, but this is something that when I'm entering trades, when I'm looking for entry points and exit points, watching this is actually a very big deal. Watching the constriction of Bollinger Bands now for a long period of time, that is leading to a breakout opportunity. And at the moment, it does look potentially like we're going to be breaking to the upside, which kind of goes along with that theory. We've seen a couple different areas of confluence here that Bitcoin could be rallying rallying over the next day or so. Even further, going out to the outside and going and looking at some charts, we've also been using the 20 SMA. Let me go ahead and get rid of this volume, fixed range volume. It's just kind of serving as a distraction at this point. We've also been using the 20 SMA. You guys are going to see here by this orange line on the Bollinger Bands. We've been using it as resistance now ever since we broke bearish through it back in September on the 13th. But it is looking also like we have some constriction starting here on the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart, in which case it'd be really important. Keep your eyes on the 20 SMA. If we can flip this and turn it back into support rather than resistance, that will generate the momentum we need for Bitcoin to go ahead and climb. Last thing I'll say about Bitcoin is that Dixie is falling this morning. It has a red candle out here on the daily chart as it continues to have a little bit of a sideways action the last 2 days or so. We've been moving sideways here, but you guys see the Bollinger Bands there as well are constricting, leading to a breakout coming. We will talk a little bit more about that when it comes to the Swiss banks and everything else, but watch this continue to be a key factor on the Dixie and Bitcoin, which will lead to more than likely the rest of the market in crypto moving one way or the other. But right now, there's a lot of signs that a breakout is coming, and I would give a little more weight to the bulls here than I would the bears. Let me know in the chat and the comments down below, if you're watching this afterwards, what your thoughts are about Bitcoin. What time do we have? We have 5 minutes here. I want to run through some other altcoins here in just a second, get some quick looks at them, just looking at their charts. But T-Shroom, do you have a thought you wanted to add?
Yeah, just a quick note on Bitcoin really quick. So, man, if you go to my charts, pay no attention to the yellow and blue lines. These trend lines, they mean nothing. They were part of a cross analysis for the S&P that I don't have time to get into, but take a look here at the at this midline. So this range is something I've been paying attention to a lot, just to kind of preface here, between 19,500 and 18,400 more or less. Looking at the midline here between these ranges, we've spent so much more time above the midline than below it. That's why I'm really bullish on Bitcoin here for this breakout as well. Just kind of continuing to kind of buttress Tim's point here of bullishness here at this range around this high above 1900 levels. But the other thing too is, like, ever since this spike up above this going through this resistance and then coming back through it, I've been bullish just because it stayed above that midline. It only was above that or below that midline for like a day, and then it came back up, and now it's remained above that midline until it tested it here yesterday and resumed higher. So it tapped it and just kind of kept going up. So I'm pretty bullish. I don't know that this translates into us never going down and testing 15 or 12. I think that that's more than likely still in the cards. But right now you are, and you can leave my screen, but now you are starting to see more fundamentals, kind of saying in the news, as you see, we're going to get into the bank, Credit Suisse a little later, that could potentially start to push people into thinking again about Bitcoin and gold and other assets like that are designed to hedge against inflation. But Tim, let's get into the alts. I'm excited to see what you got. Yeah,
and just refreshing and wrapping that point that T-Shim was talking about. Remember, I started off the whole thing saying on the macro outlook, on a longer outlook, there still is some bearish pressure here. Just so you guys know, Lux Algo, we love Lux Algo. If you guys don't have it, I would urge you getting it. We are still seeing a lot of charts calling for bearish action on longer time frames, like the daily chart, which could take up to weeks to play out what it's predicting. So keep your eyes on that. I'm more talking about, when I'm looking down here at the 4-hourly chart, I'm talking about the next couple of days. I think we have a next couple of days bullish, and then we reach a decision point where are we going to cancel out some of the bearish pressure, or are we going to actually end up playing that out? That's what happens when you're out here on the daily chart and you have this longer time frame descending triangle. Bullish action could simply just take us back up to this red line right here around 20,600. Maybe we have a wick pop through to 21,000 before we then have to come back down. Keep your eyes on what's happening there. But short term, and especially for all of my traders out there, there's actually a lot of pressure. As we're speaking, Bitcoin's kind of moving a little bit, back up above 19,400. But short term, there's some bullish action happening here. Look to take advantage of it if you are a trader. Let's look at just some flashes of some altcoins here, starting with Ethereum. Longer time frame. Ethereum continues to hold. This former resistance turned support. You guys can see right here, this zone that we were in between June and July formed us a little barrier here between 1,200, I almost hit 1,000, 1,200 and 1,000. This was an area of resistance, and we've talked about this before. When we popped through, we never came back down to retest it. Hence the reason why I posed the question. I think even we were up here when we were hovering on 2,000, I said this. I was like, I think that might be wise to go back and revisit 1,200 to turn it into some strong support. I have not given up my feelings that Ethereum is going to be very strong in the future, although I have delayed it. I have said in the past that I thought that Ethereum was going to have a very nice Q4. I think there's a chance that Ethereum continues to trade sideways and struggling a little through Q4. It's actually Q1 of 2023, now that I've looked at a couple more analytics, that I think Ethereum could really be special. But holding this former level of resistance into support is a big win for Ethereum bulls out there. And again, just like Bitcoin, Today's candle is green, so keep an eye. Can we continue to hold this level of support and work our way back up alongside Bitcoin? Looking at Cardano here really quickly. Cardano still in its falling wedge, but of course this is a bullish tool. Actually here, that's what's really cool. Yesterday we came back down and retested the support level. So do we have the strength now on Cardano to break through and finally break this falling wedge and turn it bullish? Just so you guys know, let me go out. Let's see, actually, this will do well. It doesn't have too much of a crazy bullish prediction at this point, but it would be if we were going to predict based off the falling wedge where Bitcoin could go to. We're going to see a prediction of up around 47 cents potentially in this rally, and that would play out the falling wedges prediction tool. Again, not 100%. It's just something if you're trading, that's an area to watch. 47 cents is, matching back to these peaks we had back here on September 22nd. Would make a lot of sense for a bullish breakout on Cardano. Of course, we've had other analysts on here that believe Cardano could be in for even more upside based off of fundamentals. But for now, just look at the charts. 47 cents is the area to watch. Let's keep looking at a couple of other coins. XRP, of course, had a very interesting month last month. It broke bullish out of its falling wedge, and actually that's just about where it should have gone, that based off the prediction. I'll show you guys here real quickly. Let's look at the opening of this falling wedge and then break out where it went from its breakout point. Yeah, it literally perfectly hit the point that it had a prediction tool on it. So cool stuff for technical analysis there. It is now coming back down, and it found support in this zone we've been talking about based off of volume for a couple of weeks now. Right here at the top, around 44 cents. We're finding that as strong support again. Again, just like Ethereum, I said again twice there. Just like Ethereum, this was a former level of resistance. After the big dip, we came back up, rallied, and hit our heads there. It's really, really good to continue to find this entire zone right here that used to be resistance turn to support for XRP. That is massive for the bulls. Let's do a quick thing on DOT. DOT's continue to trade in its long-term falling wedge. Nothing necessarily too special happening there. Link, I know a lot of people are very interested in Link. They love looking at Link. Link is hovering right above the key level of volume that has been trading on for the last 2 quarters. And again, with this breakout of this red line, which could have been a symmetrical triangle pattern, it's going to be interesting to see if we can get some bullish momentum on Link back up to this yellow line at least, even if we don't break through it, kind of reaffirming an ascending triangle rather than a symmetrical triangle pattern. The reason that's important is because symmetrical triangle patterns that came in bearish, more often than not, you're looking at bearish breakouts. But if this is an ascending triangle, like we talked about before, like on Bitcoin, ascending triangles more often than not have bullish breakouts. So keep your eyes there. Atom, after having a great run of its own, is coming back down to test some key level of support. Let me look at the last little bit of volume here on Atom. Let me scroll it over here because I know my face is blocking a good amount of that screen. It's retesting. It retested and found support at this key level we talked about last week, around $11.93. It will be interesting. Can we hold? After such a good rally, there could be a little more dip to come, potentially down to $10.97, give or take $11. But right now, Atom is sitting in a good spot. The other good news for anyone who's trading it, we have set up some daily bullish RSI divergence where the RSI is falling, but the prices are rising. It's too early to call and say this is going to hold. Absolutely, the price could keep falling. But right now, if anyone was thinking, should I be shorting Atom? Should I be getting out of Atom? I don't think the charts would be the one confirming that that's what you should do. I think there's a potential Atom could continue to move to the upside. Well, I went a little long here on technical analysis, but that is all right. We don't get to do a whole lot of technical analysis, but that's going to be a staple moving forward. I know you guys want to have more of it, which is one of the reasons why we're extending the show to an hour and a half so that we can get in our market pulse, we can do technical analysis, we can have fantastic conversations and discussions amongst us and other guests, as well as have some great interactions with you as the community. It is now time to transition into our discussion topic, but before we go there, now we are going to do the question of the day. So, T-Shroom, what is it for today?
Oh, that's a great question. The question of the day for today, Smay, do not go to my screen, is would you rather get away with a terrible crime but live in fear of someone discovering it, or go to prison for 3 years for a crime you did not commit? I'm going to let that sink in and read it one more time. Would you rather get away with a terrible crime but live in fear of someone discovering it, or go to prison for 3 years for a crime you did not commit? And I'm going to throw it to Smay first to see what Smay thinks.
Well, I think I've idealized this just a little bit.
Okay.
And the fact of, like, first of all, I'm picking the 3 years. I'd want to go to prison for 3 years. But the way I've rationalized this is that I would just ask my lawyer to do something that no person ever asked their lawyer to do. Can you please make sure I get solitary confinement? That would be I want to be by myself in my own cell. And the reason why I idolize this is because my understanding is that hopefully then I can also argue to that give me an extra year as long as I have an e-reader or something, something I can read books on. Give me that. And I go to prison. That is what I want. And then also I feel like I would turn into like Uncle Iroh, like in Avatar where he like is in prison. So he starts like working out and get really ripped and then he breaks out. That's the way I imagine.
From The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
Avatar? Okay.
So Tim, what about you?
We were talking about this a little bit before the show. I'm going to choose, I think the same thing. That was a long answer. I think the same answer as you. I'm going to go ahead and go to prison for 3 years for a crime I did not commit. And I can tell you this, as a small child who was constantly doing things I was not supposed to do, I lived my entire childhood in fear that my mom would find out the treats that I hid under the bed, the fact that I hit my brother, and wondering, I tried to bribe him as best I could not to tell mom, but you never know when he's going to, open his mouth and go get you in trouble.
Snitch.
So that fear is real. And I can only imagine how much more amplified it would be if it actually had law enforcement on the case. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 3 years for tax fraud that I did not commit because I have a crypto CPA named Anthony Price. But that's my answer. I'm going to stick with I would rather be innocent and treated wrong than be guilty and not. And
I'm curious to hear what T-Shroom says, but I think the important thing is the quality of prison, because prison can be extremely...
That's why I said tax fraud. I don't feel like people with tax fraud get that rough.
Well, and that's why I said solitary confinement, because would I go crazy? Probably. But the thing is I'm less likely to get beat up and stuff like that. So anyways, T-Shroom, go. Yeah,
I think that I would probably just live in fear, because I've become immune to fear over... through covering the Fear and Greed Index every day.
Oh my gosh, that's cringe.
I've just analyzed, fear at a macro level, and I feel like I'm able to overcome it. I think all Bitcoin traders and crypto traders have probably overcome fear to a large extent, and I do mean this with some degree of seriousness, because as you trade, you realize emotion is your number one enemy, your own emotions, and so being able to overcome fear is important. But, the moral aspect of committing the crime and then getting away with it isn't great. But,
I would like chat to let us know right now, what crime has T-Shroom committed that he is living a life of just evading the cops?
He definitely did it.
That's the way you answer that makes me think that you are guilty of something
scared.
And you're on the lam right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, is can you feel... I don't know. I don't think I'm a psychopath.
Well,
but
it's actually interesting. I'll just leave this little nugget in kind of what you're saying. That's why I think if you're a trader, it would be maybe worthwhile to read a little bit about Stoicism. Because when you combine the two, the philosophy of Stoicism and trading, I mean, that's like a perfect combination.
Stoic trader?
A Stoic trader, exactly.
Interesting.
Well,
I mean, that's basically what Magic Internet Money is. He's a Stoic.
Yeah.
So, anyways, go for it.
Hey, we're about to just to kind of move into our discussion topic really quickly, though. I want to answer a couple questions I saw in chat. Someone was asking if there were some other coins we could do some technical analysis on. Make sure you stay tuned for the third half hour starting at 11, if that is part of what the chat wants to talk about.
Sorry.
What did I just
There's
do?
a funny chat.
Yeah. Okay. I read the chat as well.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, now I feel like we have to read that after I announce this.
No,
If
definitely
you guys
not.
want us to do technical analysis on any of these other coins and other projects, make sure to stick around for the third half hour. We can do some of that there. Now I'm interested to see what was put into chat. Is it not repeatable
skip
on air?
Skip it. It's all good. We're all having fun.
Okay.
We don't
well,
want to
you
ruin
can't.
the fun.
I feel left out at this point now. Anyway,
I'll tell you who said it so you can read it, but it's first degree by kill.
first degree by kill.
Yeah, and we'll move on.
Oh
so
my gosh.
getting into the discussion section here, correct?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. All right. That threw us off for sure. Also, make sure I didn't say this at the beginning of the episode. Make sure to go ahead and smash that like if you're new here. Subscribe to the channel for this content. We're about to jump into our discussion. I have to do the sponsor though, so I need
that's
the interruptions.
exactly what I was about to say.
I need the interruptions to come down.
See, now you're starting to know when Smay's about to stop you.
Okay. This has been a very fun show of interruptions, but we're gonna slow down here for a second.
You got it.
My sweatshirt. Get Hedge is the sponsor of our discussion for today. If you guys have not heard about Get Hedge, then you have not been watching our show. You guys know that we love them. They are one of our most amazing sponsors we have here at Coffee and Crypto. And what they do for you is they allow you to be paid in crypto, whether it's Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, whatever you want. People need to continue to DCA. You need to continue to buy these low levels. But if you want to avoid some exchange fees or even avoid exchanges in general because you do not trust the security of them, then all the people who live in the United States and very soon the people in Canada and the UK have an opportunity to be paid directly in Bitcoin. And that is because you can then attach this to where you work and get your money directly deposited into Bitcoin and save yourself a lot of exchange fees. If you want to know more about them, click the link down below. Hedge is phenomenal. Smay, you signed up for it, correctly? Correct?
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. Well, that's German.
So did I.
You have Hedge now too?
T-Shroom has Hedge.
Come
He
on.
got Hedge.
I got Hedge.
Make sure you go get it as
.io.
well. Let's go ahead and enter into this discussion topic, though. T-Shroom, go ahead and what is our topic for today, and kind of open it up for the information so we can begin this conversation.
For sure. Well, the headline, if you go to my screen, Smay, is Credit Suisse shares tank 10% on restructuring and capital concerns. But I'm going to do a little bit of TA just kind of on the meta story here of Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse, again, a Swiss bank. I think it's the biggest one there in Switzerland. That would be nice to get confirmed. But if you look at my screen, guys, this chart goes back to 2008. 2007 actually, pardon me. But then you can see this is where they had the 2009, crash that really, wrecked the global economy, and it never really broke out of the bear channel here, this downward trending bear channel since then. So it's just kind of been in that, and it has now broken out of that channel. So it's pretty intense there. You'll see it's breaking out, and it went from 14, almost basically $15 down to now it's trading at $3.75, which is just insane. So that's kind of where we are with Credit Suisse today, as they basically have gotten this headline, and I'll read a little bit more about it. Shares of Credit Suisse plunged nearly 10% in Europe morning trading session after the Financial Times reported that the Swiss bank's executives are in talks with major investors to reassure them amid rising concerns over the Swiss lender's financial health. Spreads of the bank's credit's default swaps, which we'll get into in just a second, which provide investors with protection against financial risks such as default, rose sharply Friday. They followed reports the Swiss lender is looking into raising capital, citing a memo from its chief executive, Ulrich Körner. And let's just really quick, before we get into the discussion, discuss what a CDS, a credit default swap, is. So if you look here, you are the woman here in a suit, okay, as a trader. And over here you have the entity. So in this case it's Credit Suisse. And then, but let me just make sure everybody knows, it's not confirmed that they are defaulting or that they are insolvent. Okay, right. They're just having some liquidity issues, and their stock price is big tanksky, right? Okay, so these are your two parties, and then you have a third party, a credit protection seller, which is, you can think of this as a market all to its own. Okay, so the debt, or the Credit Suisse is saying, sorry, we have to default, meaning, and again, they're not yet declared default. But let's say that happens. Okay, so then the market here for CDS starts to pick up a little bit. What does this credit protection seller really do? Well, what they do is they sell you a credit default swap, which basically it's similar to a bond in that it pays out if the entity, the underlying entity of that credit default swap does indeed go bankrupt. So it's a bit of an insurance policy, and you have to pay premiums on that policy And then in the event that there is a default, then you get paid out. So the credit protection seller does not want the company to default, and they're betting that it won't. You're betting that it will by buying those credit default swaps. And more than likely, you would be buying those credit default swaps to hedge against the long position that you have in that underlying entity, in this case, Credit Suisse. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. I didn't want to just throw out credit default swaps without giving a little bit of a background of what it is. It's a whole asset class, and it works kind of like a bond, kind of like an option. Well, I'd say honestly more like an option, because you're paying to service the right to benefit from an event in the future. And in this case, in the credit default swap case, that event is default of a corporation that you're invested in. So I'll throw it over to Tim. What are your initial thoughts here on this Credit Suisse headline, and how could this affect markets more generally? What does it tell us about markets generally?
Yeah, so this is something we're going to be covering now for a long time. This is not something that's about to just be a flash for today and go away. This is the beginning domino effects of the banking crisis happening. Not that it's as bad, but I don't know if you guys have seen some headlines about United States banks having problems of their own. This is the beginning of a bank runoff problem that people are going to have a lot of issues with, and it's also going to cause these, Federal Reserves of not just the United States but other countries as well to start making some hard decisions. I was watching a video this morning. I can't remember the name of the guy. I'd never seen him before. If I can find it, I'll put it in the link because I want to give him fair credit. But he was discussing the unprecedented times that we're about to enter into. We have had economic problems where we have had banks looking like they're having liquidity problems before, and maybe the inflation was a little higher than it had been in years past, but it's never been as bad as it is right now. We've had times where inflation was really bad, but we didn't have a problem with banks' liquidity. We have not had a situation this bad of what is looking like could come in the next couple of months, if not maybe a year or two, since the Great Depression, where we're putting the Federal Reserves in between a place of rock and a hard place, because anything they do at this point could have some royal mess ups coming. If they continue to attack inflation, these banks will crash. These banks will go insolvent, and everyone's pensions and everyone's savings accounts and everyone's hedge funds will go to zero. On the flip side, if they go ahead and decide, all right, we need to go and bail out these banks again, and we've seen that happen before in our lifetime, if they go and bail these banks out, what that means is they will have to go from a phase of quantitative tightening to quantitative easing, where they start printing money again, and of course, inflation begins to climb again. But of course, savings accounts, pension funds, hedge funds, they will be saved, but now all of a sudden, every single individual will, of course, suffer from high inflation once again. There is no good solution at this point. No matter what happens, there's going to be a world of pain coming down the road again within the next couple of months. Maybe they can draw it out and keep kicking some cans down the road and make it last for years. But then you enter the question, which would be better, to go ahead and deal with that pain now or deal with it later? Go ahead and go ask Jerome Powell if he could back up to last January of this year and start doing some higher interest rate hikes early rather than waiting till now. I guarantee you he would say, yeah, if I could go and rewind the time, I would have gone back and started going. I mean, obviously we can rewind clocks. There's a lot of stuff we could rewind to and not do in the past. But you guys get what I'm saying here. We're headed for a very, very sticky situation. And the question I wanted to really discuss with you, T. Shroom, and Smay, if you have thoughts, I want you to chime in, and is how Bitcoin will respond. Because first and foremost, everyone watching this show right now, all 700 of you, you guys know this right now is why Bitcoin was created. Let's just even back up. We were talking about this morning. T. Shroom and I are both 28 years old, which means if there's some recession stuff happening in early 2000, so 2000, 2001, that we were a little bit too young. We would have been 6 or 7 at the time when all that was happening. It really was kind of hard for a 6 or 7-year-old to really understand what's going on.
Yeah, back then I was only trading indexes. So,
right.
Yeah.
But we were very you were trading indexes, gosh. But we were very aware of what was happening in 2008 through 2010 throughout that recession. I know T. Shroom was saying with his parents and their jobs, they never personally got hit. But like, for example, my dad lost his job during the 2008 crash. And I had to walk through that with my family. I was sitting there in high school. I even watched families around me because my parents, I don't know how they did it. Mathematically, I do not understand. We continue to play sports. We continue to go to tournaments all over the country. We ate a lot of noodles and rice that were very cheap. But I watched friends and family not respond as well as we did, and they almost had to go into a life of shutdown. We are old enough to remember that. People watching the show, most of you guys are our age or older, where you're like, Tim, I remember '08 for certain. I remember what happened in the early 2000s. Some of you might even be able to remember what happened in the early 90s. But of course, now we're talking about Smay. Smay was too young to really know what was going on in around 2008 area, but he does know what's been happening over the last couple of years with the pandemic. Now we're heading into this recession. And the question is now becoming, how long before people just wake up and realize we are having an economic crisis with fiat currency at least once every 10 years? We had a really bad back in the 80s. It got kind of rough there in the early 90s, again in the early 2000s. Then we had that harsh recession in 2008. And now we're sitting here, and this recession that we're entering in, as much as we're feeling the pain now, this started back during pandemic. We just continued to kick the can down the road. We're having another economic crisis, and it is because of the broken nature of fiat currency. How long before other people begin to join us and realize Bitcoin is the solution? This is exactly what it was created to fight, and this is exactly why in the future we're going to need to transfer into this money. So I just spoke there for a while. T-Shim, I want to get your thoughts about anything I just said right there, what your thoughts are about the future.
Well, not to sound too cliche here, guys, but this is what Bitcoin was made for. Tim said it. I've been seeing it in the chats. Smay, if you'll go to my screen, the real Kiyosaki has also been saying it. And I know he hasn't been calling the market in the best way recently, but if you know anything about him, he is definitely a very savvy investor, and he's done well over the years. And he said, buying opportunity. If Fed continues raising interest rates, US dollar will get stronger, causing gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices to go lower. Buy more. When Fed pivots and drops interest rates as England just did, you will smile while others cry. Take care. Now, we're not encouraging you to try to make people cry, but Robert Kiyosaki here is getting ahead of the market and issuing basically a buy notice for Bitcoin, gold, and silver. I'm not super interested in precious metals. If I did, I would actually buy them physically, not the ETFs. But obviously, Bitcoin, we're huge proponents of it. And so I would say, it is the time to buy Bitcoin here while it's low. And, here you go, buy Bitcoin while it's low. There's really, there is no better asset, in my opinion, positioned to benefit from financial instability out there, in the markets. And this Credit Suisse story is kind of the first, goblin peeking through the cracks of a breaking financial system. And, we will see how this gets played out, how the media will spin it, and how markets will react. Ironically, today the market is up quite a bit as it opens a new quarter, as it opens a new month, is what I'm seeing on Wall Street Journal and CNBC. The reasons for why it's up today, I think that spells fear more than anything else, is that the markets are up today. There's zero reason why banks and why investors are buying the market today. Everything is very, very fearful. So it's up because they're trying to help investors see that everything's okay and really just kind of lay the tone for October, when in reality this market is not looking good here. I mean, there's a slim chance that the Fed could pull it out here with what their policy is. They could make this work. But in the process, there is going to be pain. They've said that. So either way, there's going to be pain. Being in Bitcoin, there's going to be pain if the market continues to goes well, and the Fed is successful with their policy and healing inflation, bringing that down. There's going to be pain because Bitcoin's going to go lower, right? And then on the flip side, if the Fed can't fix the economy, can't get inflation lower, then Bitcoin starts to do really well, but then you're going to feel pain in other ways. And we don't know exactly what those are going to be yet, but probably home values. If you have any stocks, that's going to definitely get hit. So be prepared for pain either way. And that's going to be mostly an emotional advice there, is just be prepared. Make sure that you have liquidity. Make sure that you have, what's it called, dry powder, as Tim likes to call it, that's ready not to invest, guys. I'm not saying not dry powder just to invest, but to have when things start to go south, as it looks like more and more it's inevitably going to happen. But
you said what's going to go south? It's looking more and more.
Either way, unless you put everything into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Then over a 3-year span, it looks like you're probably going to be, you would have experienced very little pain. But in the short term, you will experience pain.
Yes.
But if you are only in equities and only in real estate, you're going to be feeling quite a bit of pain, and you're going to have a 10, 15 year horizon before you're going to be made whole again. So if we were able to recover from what is about to happen, what Jamie Dimon called an economic hurricane that we're about to go into, which has aged nicely, I'd say.
Yeah, so this is what people need to be prepared for. It's going to suck one way or the other. The question is, now that we get a vote in it, which way would we prefer? And again, we don't get a vote. But if they decide to continue the quantitative tightening, if they decide no, inflation is too much to deal with, here's what we're going to see happen, especially if the United States continues to be aggressive with it. Go look at it right now. The global markets are already suffering from how powerful the U.S. dollar is. We're already seeing countries in Europe begin to loosen up a little bit as they see what's happening. If the dollar keeps going higher and these other fiat currencies begin to loosen up and go lower, we're going to see a ridiculous global market crisis in terms of there will be other countries that just stop trading with the United States in general. We talked about this last week. The United States is so reliant upon getting in goods and services from other countries. We did not set ourselves up for that to be able to crash. If we did a lot more our own, if we produce stuff here in the United States, maybe you can make an argument that the U.S. dollar being strong will just continue to keep us in power. But unfortunately, we have set ourselves up so that when other countries begin to have problems, we suffer alongside of them. And then when we do well and they do well, we can go up together. That's the first thing, is if we continue to strengthen the dollar, you're going to see people lose their jobs. You're going to see goods and services supply will continue to drop because we cannot import things from other countries. The other side, though, and the last one is that it's not just even the poor that will suffer and lose their jobs. The rich will lose their pensions. They will lose their hedge funds. They will lose their savings because these banks are not going to be getting a bailout from governments, and therefore they're going to go insolvent and they're going to lose all their money. That is a pain side, but it'll fix the inflation problems, and we won't be printing more money than we actually have. On the flip side, though, and this is what I think is more likely, and I want to get the chat's take. I want to hear what the chat thinks. I want to hear what you think, T-Shroom, and I want to hear what you think, Smay. I think that the governments, the precedents that we've seen in the past, I think that they're going to choose. They're playing a game of chicken right now with the economy, and they're going to have to make a hard decision to go ahead and start doing some quantitative loosening. They're going to start printing money again. They're going to stop raising interest rates. They're going to just say, oh no, we just don't have a problem. I know we want to get those unemployment numbers a little higher and get, lower the supply of job markets, but the temptation of, the pressure from the elite and the wealthy who have vested interests all over the place, who are going to say, you are not going to lose me my money, go bail those banks out and save my money, is going to increase. And of course, that is going to be a great buying opportunity for anyone who is in Bitcoin. That will keep some jobs around for a little longer, although goods and services will continue to rise in price and will get more expensive, and that will be painful. But if you didn't think that a great buying opportunity for crypto was going to come along with a ridiculous, painful economic front with your personal life, then you weren't necessarily too prepared. In fact, this is kind of what Warren Buffett talks about when he says, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own. Blood in the streets does not mean everything outside it's just raining outside. Blood in the streets is like it's raining fire, and everything feels like it's about to crash and burn. So we're sitting in a place where Bitcoin is sitting. If you're owning Bitcoin, you could actually do very, very well here in the future, because more than likely we will see banks bailed out. If we don't see banks bailed out, yes, maybe then we could see Bitcoin go ahead and fall. But in that case, at least you're going to be able to keep your jobs a little longer. Things will not continue to rise in price. Yeah, what I was saying there. You'll lose your job a lot faster, actually, is what I'm saying. Let me reverse that one. You'll lose your job a lot faster, but things will be less expensive. We are sitting between a rock and a hard place, and there is not a single scenario in which this will be a comfortable transition. There is going to be pain. The question is, what is that pain? And if I'm right, and I do believe I am, that the banks will be bailed out, the place to be putting your money is in things like Bitcoin, probably even like gold, other equities out there to continue to hedge against. And the reason I choose Bitcoin is because I believe that Bitcoin is the best long-term solution. But I want to hear what you guys think in chat. I want to hear what you guys think even in this room. Do you think that the banks will be bailed out, or do you think that the quantitative tightening will continue?
It's a good question. I think it's a question for like Q1, because right now we're starting to see a European bank, also Deutsche Bank is pretty close to insolvency as well, but we're seeing a bank really have, big bearish pressure, and, they're talking and trying to reassure their major investors. And that's basically the extent of the headline. I don't see this trickling into American banks anytime soon, meaning Q4. I think it's going to take longer if the effects are to be felt over here. But I think that Europe is facing so many more systemic challenges than the United States. We have inflation, and that's really bad. But we don't have like a war going on between two power. We don't have a war going on between Russia and the Ukraine on our continent, right? And so it's having less of an effect on our markets. Whereas in Switzerland, they're much more exposed to the European market. So I am kind of pushing back a little bit on Tim's narrative here that our banks are going to be going belly up and they're going to have to get bailed out again. I think that is possible, right? If the contagion does make its way across the Atlantic to North American banks, but I think that has not. I'm not seeing that in the cards for Q4 yet. That would be a very accelerated contagion spread, in my opinion. I think that if it was going to happen, it's going to be sometime next year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that it's going to happen Q4 of this year, but I think that it could be happening in the next year. And here's the other thing is, even if the banks in America don't have this happen, if there's bailouts happening in Europe, which again, that's where I'm predicting potentially in Q4 we could see it, that has an effect on the global market, which will have an effect on what the U.S. Federal Reserve decides to do with interest rates. Because even if they're not going to be bailing out their banks, again, the concept of the stronger the U.S. dollar gets versus other fiat currency, the worse it could get for our supplies to be coming in from other countries. We do not want to see a European crash. That is not good for the United States. And that's one of the reasons why, I don't know if you guys are watching it, they continue to send billions of dollars every single month from the United States in taxpayer money over to Europe. And I know some people are going to say, oh, that's American taxpayer dollars, which, by the way, I'm with you. I completely understand. I think it is wrong what we have decided to do as a country. But you know how when you dig a hole, sometimes you can't just complain that you're in a hole. You got to find a solution. The solution would not be to say, well, screw Europe, let's let them just fall and die and do whatever, and we'll just keep going. No. We have attached ourselves to other economies, and if we sit by and do nothing and let them fall, we're not far behind. So watch Europe begin to bail out their banks, potentially even some countries over in Asia. Watch them start to have problems and governments start to inflate their dollars again and bail some things out. And then watch the United States be stuck and say, well, we have to do this as well. Otherwise, we could shut down the entire global economy. That's my opinion. Smay, what about you? What is your thought about what the Federal Reserve, or sorry, not the Federal Reserve, what about banks and the government might do with banks going insolvent?
Something.
Wow. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I think they're definitely going to do something. But this is definitely not my wheelhouse in terms of like macroeconomics.
Yeah. Well, so what I would say is that they absolutely would get some sort of handout, whatever that is. They're not going to let the big banks just crumble and die. I just don't see that happening, because at the end of the day, the global banks are becoming more powerful than the governments. And just because one of them is going insolvent, it doesn't necessarily mean that the JP Morgans and the Goldman Sachses and the BlackRocks of the world aren't still pulling the strings in a lot of ways. But I mean, it is important to think, though, that as powerful as they are still vulnerable to volatility in the stock market, and especially the stock market, but also in all markets. And so, we'll see what happens. I think absolutely they bail out the banks. I think that there's no doubt that, the government and the banks work so closely together, that they would definitely bail out the banks. I don't know what they would do in Europe, because I think there's a lot less precedent for what would happen there. But I think that they're less laissez-faire. They're much more in control of their economy, and so in the sense that they have a more controlled economy from an economic textbook standpoint.
Yeah.
Not that they have a better grip on their economy. They're more controlled, more socialistic in their view towards regulating their economy, and I think that they would be more likely to bail out their banks. But because. And also, I guess the precedent you would look at is how they bailed out Greece recently, within 2000. I 2017, I want to say, or it might have been earlier than that. But they've done it several times, right? So I think that they're more likely to bail out their banks than not. But what is it? So going kind of back to Bitcoin, what does this all translate into, though, right? So let's say that you start to see in the papers, saw Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, going belly up, and the U.S. government had to make a decision: are we going to start bailing out banks? Because there's big banks that are going belly up, and they made the decision to go ahead and pull the trigger and bail them out. At that point in time, there was no crypto, right? There wasn't a third option. There wasn't an option for the government to say, hey, actually, this whole fiat concept, we're going to go ahead and put a big failed stamp on that, and we're going to move on, and we're going to let crypto take it from here. That wasn't an option. I think now, while they still are going to bail out the banks, I think a lot of elected officials are going to start looking at crypto, doing more research. Their younger millennial aides are going to be sitting there kind of saying like, hey, I know that, this time around we're all voting to bail out the banks, but if this just keeps happening, we do have to kind of graduate to this new technology that is, it's designed to not have this effect, to where it is a stable currency and it is not going to, its supply is stable, and it's not going to, yield these giant, bear markets and these giant liquidity events that keep happening. And so I think at that point in time, politicians and folks who have a lot of power do start looking to crypto as an alternative. And right now, we've been covering all this year how the payment structures are already there, all the infrastructure for Bitcoin specifically, but also other altcoins, to be the pay rails for North America at least. And I think that it's an event like this, an event like the banks starting to go insolvent, or cracks starting to show that the banks could go insolvent, that could really tip the scales for not just the average mom and pop, not just the 401k America to get into crypto, but for institutions and for the government to see crypto, to see Bitcoin as the solution, right? And I don't think that I think that it's still popular enough to where that could be very, very possible. I don't think people have gotten burned to the extent where they couldn't see Bitcoin as a third option. I think that it's still very much in the cards. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
And that's what I'm. Hold on. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Is that I think that there's a chance, there is a sliver of a chance that the Fed just decides, you know what, we're going to continue to tackle inflation. In which case, I think new lows for Bitcoin could very well happen, especially with banks crashing and then no one helping them out. That's just not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting banks to be bailed out, and I think that what you're going to see is a lot of people just start getting fed up and saying, what is the solution? And this is something I want to start doing a lot more looking into. If you guys were at, which was the conference down in Miami? Bitcoin 2022? Bitcoin 2022, there was a lot of different advocacy groups out there going around educating people about Bitcoin. There's a lot of adoptions right now, and again, depending on where you live, some people, I believe right now, like in Miami, for example, and I think certain places in Texas, you could actually convert all of your US dollars into Bitcoin and live. You can pay your taxes, you can pay your rent, depending on where you are, you can literally pay for everything in Bitcoin. You can use Strike and you can pay for things at local grocery stores and everything else using Bitcoin. That's not how it is for everybody, so it's a little bit of a phase, but watch as these advocacy groups begin to continue to gain momentum and educate the public about Bitcoin. We could see this situation speed up the adoption of Bitcoin as a use case, maybe even if it stays a store of value and doesn't fully become the US, currency. Could we see it increase, and then solutions and other coins come into consideration to where we can actually skirt using US dollar? That continues to die not only every day right now, but again, let's just back up for just a second, and especially if anyone out there watching is 50 plus, 60 plus, even the ones that are 40 plus, 30 plus, you guys have watched, and if you study your history, every 10 years we are beginning to have some sort of major economic crisis. The problem right now is, despite the fact that I think at this point, almost every American, and of course there's some people that live out in the woods who haven't heard of it, but almost every American had probably heard the word Bitcoin. It's time they start hearing about what Bitcoin actually is and realize we don't have to stay in this 10-year cycle where we continue to have problems and the dollar begins to, we have to put the value back in the dollar, and then we just wait a couple years, everything feels really good, and we start inflating again, and then we're just kicking the can down the road. People can now know there is a solution to fiat currency, and it's a matter of when, not if, we actually end up making the switch. We're going to go ahead and transition now into our third one. We're going to continue to talk about this topic, though. I said that at the beginning of the discussion section. This is not a topic that's going to this was a good topic for today, and we'll talk about it some of it. This is going to be something we probably touch on every single day, continue to keep our eyes on over the next couple of months/year. How are we going to respond to this great economic dip and crisis, and how will you and your crypto holdings be reacted, and how will they respond to all of this? We're moving into our third half hour now on the show. Again, we're a little longer at 11:08. So that means we got like 22 minutes or so, but that's plenty of time to interact with you guys in chat, to get our HODL trophy predictions, because it is Monday, and that is one of our favorite things here on the show. I do want to say, though, that today's community output is brought to you guys by, we are sponsored by BitGet. If you're wondering what BitGet is, it is an exchange for traders. So I'm speaking to all of my traders out there. If you are A, wanting an exchange that's secure, and B, wanting low fees, BitGet would be the perfect exchange for you, because to this date, there has been no security breaches on it whatsoever. And at the same time, it has the lowest fees available for trading. If you are all about trading and you want to learn more about it, make sure you sign up with the link down below and get BitGet. It is the one that I'm actually using now to make my trades, so I encourage you guys to do the same. With our charity stream today, Smay, every single dollar of super chats are going. I know I saw a couple, and I want to encourage anyone out there who hasn't given one yet. If you guys, I would encourage you, because we're not a single dollar is going to us, if you're going to give a super chat any day, to me, this would be the day to do it, to support not us here at the channel, although that's what super chats usually do. They do help support us and keep us bringing content to you guys every day. Today is all about helping Life for the Innocent, which seeks to save children from sex and organ trafficking over in India, and get them through a process of rehabilitation and then into safe homes where they can live their best life. And then down the road, maybe they can accomplish financial sovereignty like the rest of us are trying to do so. So with that said, any super chats we have so far, and again, this section also, if you guys have any TA you want me to do, I could probably do a couple coins of TA if that's where the chat wants me to go.
Yeah, so I don't know what you were seeing because there's just one. So
I saw one. I thought I saw a second one flash up. Maybe it was the same
there
one.
was just one, and don't worry, I double-checked Anthony's document to make sure I wasn't being crazy, and there is only one. So it is one from Win People, says, love the charity streams.
Come on. Thank you so much, Win People. I mean, that's clearly there's a donation one right there.
Actually, wow.
Which is great.
Another one just came in. It's a, wow, hold on. It's a Smooper chat from Smay.
Uh-oh.
And Smay says, guys, remember, Bitcoin's sneaky. Don't wait for the government to adopt it for you. Adopt it yourself. All right, back to you, Tim.
Sneaky money.
Good stuff. A smooper, you called it?
A Smooper chat.
A smooper chat. Good stuff. Well, let's examine chat. I can start talking about what my weekend was while we look for some good chat here. I actually got to move this last weekend, which was nice. My wife and I are in a house with a yard now. We were in an apartment beforehand, so the dogs now have a yard to run around in. Had a lot of frustrations though. I was re-hooking up. Is there any electricians in chat? I was rewiring our dryer because the plug-in outlet was different. And I guess the new house we're in has like the oldest one out there. Like they don't really make dryers anymore for this kind of plug-in. So I was rewiring it, and I hooked it up the way I was told to hook it up, and I think I shorted it and burnt out my dryer.
Wait a second.
And killed it.
So
You should talk to my
Wait a
dad.
second.
My dad works on dryers.
you cut
I need to
the
talk to
end
Dad.
off and replaced it with a different end? Is that what you did?
No.
Oh, what did you do?
So on dryers in the back of them,
Yeah.
you can just unscrew this little plate, and it has where you can rehook the wiring. So you can sell different plugs and stuff. It's just about connecting it the correct way.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
rewiring it. Now here's the problem I will say. When the old wires had the red, white, and black labeled. The new wire that we purchased did not have colored cord. So I did it the way it said to do it, but I'm not quite sure if it was correct or not. So I need to talk to an electrician to find out if I killed my dryer and have to buy a new one,
Steve
or
Schrum.
can I save it? Yeah, I'm going to have to get Mr. Schrum over.
But that just goes to show what I know about dryer machines. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know much.
I don't know that you shorted it out. What evidence do you have that you shorted it out?
Sparks flew at my face, and now there's a place on it that was just metal before that's now black.
Gotcha. Have you tried to use it?
Yeah, I turned it on and it worked at first, and then I turned it off, and I was just putting a screw back in to tighten up the seal, and then it sparked at me.
Did you put them on the wrong ones?
I put it on the way it said to put it on, but that's my only assumption at this point is that
maybe
I put it on
the colors
wrong.
were a little off.
Definitely,
And
There were no colors. All right, well, that's good. We have some super chats coming in.
There was no colors.
There were no colors.
That maybe has something to do with it, but there's a lot of super chats, so let's go ahead and get through these. All right, so here we go. We have, gosh, I need.
You okay?
Yeah.
So making some adjustments over there?
Making some adjustments so I can look at my screen. You guys can still hear me. All right. From Matt C says, for the kids, thank you for all you guys do. Prayer emoji.
Love it.
Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Matt.
Thank you guys for your warm, loving donations. This definitely is a good thing. Next we have here is from Danny Boy. Says, for the greater good, Bitcoin.
Excellent.
Come on.
Greater good.
Okay, so let's pause right there, Danny Boy. I love that he said it that way, for the greater good. We are all about crypto. This is a crypto channel. We talk about price analysis. We talk about the news. We talk about how we can invest and accomplish what we call financial sovereignty, #FinSolve. This is not a possible thing if you're worried every single day. Let's just start with people who don't have food or even water or shelter. They can't worry about financial sovereignty. They're just worried about survival. Even more so for some of these children who they're not even worried about food and water. They're worried about if they will be killed by the end of the night. So this is something I've noticed since I first got into crypto. Let's just make sure everyone understands this. Crypto absolutely can be and is used for evil every single day. Now, every money known to mankind in the history of our planet has been used for evil. So that doesn't make crypto special. It's just joining the ranks. But crypto absolutely can be used for the good of mankind and even financial sovereignty. We talk about this all the time. What is financial sovereignty? Financial sovereignty is having control over your money, not your money having control over you, so that you can do everything that you were put here on this planet to do. Some people, that means they make millions. Some people, that's just thousands. Some people, billions. At the end of the day, the reason we use crypto here on this channel, and I hope everyone who's watching this is their thought process as well. If not, it's okay, but I really hope you get to a place where this is how you view crypto. Crypto is good insofar as it gives you the tools to do the things that actually matter, and helping rescue people and helping create a better place and helping people accomplish everything they were made to do. That is what truly matters. And to me, crypto is just an end. It's just an end to the means. It's really just a tool for me to utilize to do what I feel like God has put me on this planet to do. And for me, just so you guys know, it is to create relationships and to love on people and to help people become their best selves. In Christianity, we call it discipleship, where you walk someone through life and you help them create a better relationship with Jesus. You help them live out and become the husband, the father, the wife, the daughter, the everything. You become the best you can be by realizing how faulty of a human you are. Crypto is my tool to be able to do that on a grander scale. If any of you are out there wondering, why should I be in crypto? I hope that you have found your why. I hope you have this calling, this feeling, this movement that you feel like you were put here to do. And your only reason for being in crypto is saying, I want a life where I don't have to worry every single day about what money is coming in and going out. I have financial sovereignty and I can do exactly what I'm supposed to do at all times. So Danny Boy, thank you so much. You hit it right on the head. Bitcoin is not the end. Bitcoin is an end to the means.
That's exactly right. All right, so let's go ahead and read another one. We have here, by the way, I went handheld because I was tired of you guys not being able to properly hear me.
Wow.
Here we go. We have from Gia S says, showing love and support for all you do.
That's good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have here from Crypto JMP. Be good to everyone, stack crypto, and go Celtics. That's exactly right. And I agree with that sentiment. Guys, it's preseason, but we just stomped the Hornets. So I'm very excited about our team right now, except for the fact that Ime Udoka is a goober. For all you Celtics fans, you'll understand that. Next here we have from Mike Markle says, thanks for making a difference, team and Jebbi fam, sent with love from Ohio.
Very
Come
cool.
on. Shout out to Ohio.
Shout out to Ohio.
I have family up there. I'll have to come up there and see my family and maybe have a fan meetup or something.
Ohio.
My dad grew up in Ohio. So
It's about to get cold up there.
So I'm 50% Ohioan. So There's that. We have $10 from Diamond Sauce. He just donated, didn't say anything. Next we have from Coinfather says, love the show. Please buy insurance, Bitcoin. So it's a joke because he's saying Bitcoin is insurance. Please buy insurance, Bitcoin for your future. Remember your risk tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
I agree.
That's exactly why I got into Bitcoin in the first place, was because I saw Bitcoin and still see Bitcoin as an insurance policy on all of the stocks that I own. It's a hedge. It's a hedge, folks.
It's a hedge, guys. It's a hedge. And you know what else is a hedge? The sweatshirt that Tim is wearing. All right, next here we have from Elliot Locke says, am I seeing bullish RSI on ADA and a falling wedge?
Well, you're right on the falling wedge. We talked about that a little bit this morning. That isn't a falling wedge. When it comes to there is some bullish RSI divergence.
Would you like me to go to your screen?
Yes, you can. I, for some reason, thought that we were on the same brain level, and you just already had done that.
Hey, man.
So
You expect too much.
let's get on the same level there. What he's talking about right here, the RSI bottoms. If you go back to this date, let's go to the actual bottom right there. That is, well, yeah, that's gonna be hard right there. Let's go to these bottoms here on the RSI. Boom. And then it's technically, let's see here. It's moving slightly to the upside. I have to kind of exaggerate it. That's not the highest move of RSI. There's definitely been stronger RSI divergences out there. But in the same timeline, the price is moving downward in terms of price action. Candle body closes. RSI is moving up. So that is daily bullish RSI divergence, which is good. Again, that's falling wedge you talked about. We discussed a little earlier during our technical analysis section. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, what I'm looking at from just the charts, and Cardano has been known to do its own thing and go way farther than what the charts predict. 47.45 cents is what I'm keeping my eyes on for Cardano if it plays out correctly, the way falling wedges do play out. So good call there, and we'll keep you posted what's happening with Cardano.
And that's that's exactly right. You know, there was a RSI on the wedge.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, that is really all I'm seeing in terms of super chats. But you know, I feel like another super chat's brewing if we don't get another one in another 5 minutes or so. So, Tim,
You get another
take it
super
away.
chat in?
Well, I'm saying it's brewing, so it's not ready yet.
All right, well, we got about 10 minutes left here. Let's go ahead and do our HODL Trophy predictions.
That's right.
Let's do it.
So, community chat, just reminding you one more time.
Remind them.
If you guys want to put your level in chat, that is completely fine. You can do so. You will not be entered to win. You have to go to the comment section of this video after the video stream has ended to put your chat. Now, here's the other thing. If you want to just put your number in there, that's fine. You will not be entered unless you use the 3 letters BTC, and then you can put prediction after that. But what I'm going to type in on Friday to find the different levels, I'm going to type in BTC, and every single chat or comment that has BTC in it will be entered. So if you want to enter to win the community HODL Trophy, you got to put BTC, and then you put prediction, and then put your number there as well. And make sure after you hear our predictions, you choose whose team you're on based off the levels. Are you Team Smay, Team T-Shroom, or Team Tim? I am the reigning champion right now in office, so I do get to go first. I need to look at the chart here, and we're starting to move a little more bullish. I'm not on the Bitcoin chart.
Would you like me to show your chart?
Do you want to show my chart?
This is more of a you question than a me question.
You can show my chart.
All right.
If you would like to.
Well, it's not whether or not I'd like to. It's just more so.
I got a little bit of time here, so I'm going to work through some things here.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, what is the date of Friday?
The date of Friday is the 7th.
7th? Are you lying to me just to throw me
I
off?
think I'm lying to you.
What is
Date of
I
Friday?
think it's
Friday,
the
October?
6th.
It's
7th.
It is 7th. So you were lying about lying.
That's right. I throw you
So
off.
that's
my advantage.
all right.
Also, I just don't know the dates.
I'm going to go and put this mark right here. So what we're kind of looking at on my chart is we're looking at what will the price be at this opportune time. All right, so I think we're rallying up here, definitely at least to this one. The question is going to be, are we going to rally back down and then go back up? That's where I'm struggling at the moment.
What you got,
I'm going to
Tim?
play. I don't want to. So here's the other thing about going first. If you play too neutral, then you're
That's
just
right.
guaranteeing you're going to get locked in.
You got to go extreme.
Extreme. That's actually true. It's a good thinking there, Tim.
I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to win this one. I'm going to go 21,000.
Wow.
I'm gonna play for the
21,000.
potential bullish price action happening here. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going a little too high, or it might take longer than just what Friday is to get that high. But I'm gonna go with 21,000, and hopefully, I mean, if you guys sandwich me in there, that's kind of interesting. But
All right.
1,000.
I think Smay, you're the reigning,
well-
you're the second champion. So you do
Okay,
the
so I go
second.
second.
Yes.
Well, I love this. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my chart real quick. I'm kidding. I don't need a chart. I'm the Turtle King. So I consult turtles. But anyways, I think, to be honest with you, what I'm feeling is, I don't know, maybe 25, 20, not 25,000, 20,500 is what I'm feeling.
Okay.
What a dirty move.
That's what my soul told me. My
20,500.
turtles told me. I mean, 20,500.
All right, I'm gonna take 20,000.
Ooh.
Smay got stuck.
Did I say?
I mean, you did that to yourself, Smay. 'Cause this is how this thing is going to work. The first person obviously has the least probability of winning, right? What you just did by playing right underneath me on a price action that is going to struggle to get the high, Smay, I will say this was not your best strategy of predictions of a move. You asked to be sandwiched in right there.
I did. And you know what's sad is what I was going to say, it was like that was like a last minute impulse pivot.
Yeah.
What I was actually going to say was going to be 21.5. I was going to go the over.
Well, you know what came out of your mouth is
Oh, of course.
20,500.
I think we should let him pick it.
I have to
I think
live
we
with
should let him just this time.
Not
I think he should be able to go
not
back.
a single chance. No,
T-Shroom?
play the game.
Hey,
is what I say.
T-Shroom, I don't need sympathy rules. You know, this was how bad it was. Growing up, this is going to get a sad moment. I need a world's tiniest violin. When I was a kid, I didn't know how to play basketball when I was younger. So all the older kids played basketball, and I want to play basketball with them, and they'd be like, oh, Shmay, you don't have to dribble the basketball if you don't want to because you're so bad, you know, so we're going to make it fair. I don't like getting those handicap rules. It makes me feel bad about myself. So I am going to stick with the sandwiching, and I'm going to win because it's going to be exactly 20,500.
I mean, hey, listen. Last week I got within $4 of the brick. So Smay, if you can do that, you'll be the winner.
The turtles
you have
don't
about a
steer me
$500
wrong.
window. You need the price. So here I'll go ahead and help people out. Let me know in the comment section what your price prediction is, and then based off what your price is, whose team you are on. So Smay has a window right now.
Yeah.
So if you're 20,500, so 20,000, everything above 20,250, all the way to 20,750. So that's a $500 window. That's Smay.
And I'm going to get it.
Anything above 20,750 is a Tim win, and anything below 20,250 is a Team Shroom win.
We have a good chat. We have one more super chat, and then we have a good chat. So I'll read the super chat here. We have one from Grand Roofing Incorporated. Says, love from Kokomo, Indiana.
Kokomo.
Kokomo, Indiana.
Way down in Kokomo.
From Grand Roofing Incorporated, our favorite roofer.
He does, doesn't he do flooring?
Hey, listen, Grand
Wow.
Roofing.
I think he's an electrician, right?
Cringe.
So-
All right. So, anyways, let's go get back to it.
What was
Here's
your favorite chat you
There
saw?
was a good chat that I liked. It's from Crypto Set Guy. Says, why do you guys pick on Smay?
We don't.
Don't fall for it, Jeffrey. Really quickly, I need to speak to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I know you and I have our differences. This is where I need sad, good, I'm trying to bond with Jeffrey.
Some violin music.
Okay, don't do that. Jeffrey, I know you and I have our differences. Do not fall for it. Do not fall for the Smay sob story. There is not a bigger bully in this office than Smay. Smay looks for any opportunity he can anywhere out there to pick on people. And then he baits people into saying the same types of things he says to them back to him on show, and then plays the sympathy card. So Jeffrey, I'm not asking you to become a Team Tim guy. If anything, I'm asking you to become Team T-Shroom. But do not fall for Smay's antics, Smay's lies, Smay's kerfuffling. He is the aggressor.
We got some love from Iran. Hassan Haydari.
Love from Iran. We love Iran.
Yeah. Well, we love. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. I know we do.
We love
Iran.
people. and-
Hassan Haydari.
We love Iran. We love you, Iran. Shout out to Iran. Here's the thing, Tim. I am deeply hurt by what you just
Sympathy
the spiel you went
card.
on.
Sympathy card.
I'm deeply hurt, and I want everyone to know. Like, look at this. I have the worst lighting here. You know, like I get picked on. Like Tim picks on me.
Mate, you're the one who designed your set.
I know.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
No, okay, you know.
Hey, Tim.
We just so you guys know, every show that he talks about how we bully him, we hit end stream and then he starts laughing about the craziness of the accusation.
Truth revealed.
Because he knows he's the aggressor.
Hey man,
Tim unleashed.
But the fans love him. You know, he is the best actor on the channel.
Hey, you know what, Tim? Let me take you a second, real quickly. You know, I just want to say I got nothing but brotherly love for my boy Tim over here. You know, we joke. You know, but
we kid.
We don't. You know, we don't have problems with each other. You know, except for
you just want people to
sometimes.
think that.
Yeah, except for like maybe 75, but that's not a lot of percent. You know, so there's still a good 25% of where you're nice to me. So. We're all buds. We love each other. We got a lot of love, brotherly love. T-Stream's kind of neutral in this. He's like Switzerland. But anyways.
Wow, not a great day to compare me to Switzerland, as their major banks are going towards default.
Well,
now you're picking on me.
See, now Smay's bullying T-Stream. He's spreading the.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up today's stream. This was fun. If you guys love this channel, we still have 550 people watching. Go ahead and on the way out, smash that like button. If you were new here, thank you so much for spending your morning here with Coffee and Crypto. Make sure to tune back in tomorrow. We will have another show. And again, be excited about this new 90-minute section. Every single day, we'll have our market polls, technical analysis, give you some insights and discussion topics with some of the best analysts out there. And then we always love to spend time with you guys, the community. Make sure to tune in every single day to be a part of something big where we are trying to build the most uplifting, most amazing, most relationship-based community in the entire space, along with learning crypto and accomplishing #FinSoft. That is all we have for you in this video, but we will see you in the next one. Smay, you can roll the outro.